Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of This is Darts. I'm Scott Briard and we've got a lot of interesting things to cover today. First, let's start. I was kind of happy to see a nice shipment come in yesterday from England. Our This is Darts dart flights have arrived. We will be sending some out to our great customers, some great viewers on the show that we have their contact information. So sets of This is Darts flights have come in. And we did shafts, nice nylon shafts, mediums and shorts, as well with the website on it. So watch your mailbox. For those of you that have sent your contact information, we'll make sure we get a set out to you. For those that haven't, send me an email, scott@hotshotscanada.com. If we have enough left, we'll make sure some get into the mail to you as well. Touch on this weekend, back to our events this weekend. Here in Canada, Thunder Bay, Ontario. Steel Tip Tournament, $3,000 this weekend up that way. Tahoe, there's the Biltmore Open. Chris White, we talked to you yesterday, is off to this event in Nevada. $5,000 in prize money. Nice tournament as well in Miami, Oklahoma. My good friend Larry Olhausen is this weekend selling tables in Tulsa. But in Miami, Oklahoma is the Route 66 Dart Shootout. $4,000 in prize money. That's fantastic for the Oklahoma area. San Diego, $6,000 in the San Diego Memorial. Hopefully you have some better luck than your Chargers down there in San Diego at a dart event this weekend. And in the UK, great lineup playing Saturday and Sunday in the UK in the Irvine Players Championship. Keep an eye on that, pdc.tv for those of you looking for more information on how things are going this weekend over in the UK. I was looking through the cabinet the other day, was having a great conversation with somebody about tournaments that I had attended going back a couple decades. And lo and behold, in one of the cabinets here at Hot Shots was the program, and it's just 20 years old, and it was back October 19th to 21st in 1989. 20 years old. The program from when we were kids, we picked up from the World Cup that was held here in Toronto, Ontario. And flipping through here, some unbelievable names were here that weekend. From Wales, Leighton Rees, the late Leighton Rees, was here. I thought this picture was interesting. Might have to zoom in on it. Player from Sweden. If anybody knows John McGregor, past Ontario Youth Darts coordinator. I think you had a twin out there in the world, John. This player, I believe his name was Stefan Lord from Sweden, might be your long-lost brother. So we'll have to check into that 20 years later, but we'll get zoomed in on that. Anybody notice that what John looks like? It's certainly a replica right there. Jockey Wilson, Peter Mason, Trevor Nurse, Ronnie Sharp made up the Scotland team. Jack McKenna was here from Ireland, was a finalist, lost to Eric Bristow in the finals of the men's singles. Hong Kong, many of you Canadians recognize this person. Steve Davies was here from Hong Kong that year, moved just after the World Cup event here to Toronto, still plays in the Brampton, Mississauga area, but Steve Davies came to Canada just after this event to live. Your Canadian team was made up of Bob Seneve, Albert Anstey from Newfoundland, Tony Holyoke from Alberta, and Rick Bizarro from British Columbia. Men's team winners that year. Took a bite out of the Australian team in the finals. The England team, and I've got a great story on that weekend of the England team. Eric Bristow, John Lowe, Bob Anderson, Alan Warner made up the fourth, and they got put out of the event actually by the Australians. Over to the American team, Paul Lim, Tony Payne, Gerard Verrier, and Jerry Umberger. For those of you that played a lot of darts in the States back in the late 80s, early 90s, these four were an absolute force to be reckoned with. Australia, Russell Stewart, another fantastic player back in the late 80s, early 90s. I don't believe he's still playing. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful week of events, especially at the age of, I would have been 15 at the time. I mean, for darts, it was just fascinating to be there. Lots of great female players over there as well that weekend. But a great story from it. Saturday, I believe, was the final day. Two other great youth players, great friends of mine, Chris Bullock and Justin Andrews, were there with me that weekend. And for any of you hockey players who are fans of hockey, and I'll try and relate it to that. The equivalent of being around people like Eric Bristow and John Lowe back then would have been similar to being with Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux at an event. I mean, the two world top players, Bristow and Lowe, were there inside this one building, and having the opportunity to watch them from only a few feet away would have been a similar sort of scenario as being right there rinkside with Lemieux and Gretzky playing. So we realized that the England team was up semi-final match against Australia, and we figured they were upstairs probably in our hotel room. So down we headed down the long corridor, the Skyline Hotel here in Toronto, and waited by the elevator, and figured what an exciting moment, the four of them coming off the elevator. I think their coach that weekend was a gentleman by the name of Paul. So there's five of them all together coming off this elevator. And we'll be taking a long walk down the Skyline Hotel hallway down to the large banquet hall to play their semi-final match. Well, off comes the team off the elevator, and there they are. And if you remember the England team colors, or remember some of the old four-man team events that they used to play in, there was the long burgundy dress pants on these guys, the white cream almost dart shirt with the England rose on the pocket, the BDO England rose. I hope I'm calling it correctly, the English rose. And there they were with their white dinner jackets over top. So if you can imagine, burgundy pants, the white dinner jacket with the rose as well on the pocket, and these 4 6'1". John Lowe may not have been that high, but Bob Anderson and Eric Bristow certainly were. And off they came. And it probably is the equivalent of an Ultimate Fighter getting ready to play in his championship match. These 4 came off the elevator like they had, and Starbucks wasn't around back then, but like they had had a dozen espressos and had just worked out to go fight their Ultimate Fighting Championship. Anyway, for a 15-year-old standing there, it was absolutely motivating, and it was exciting, and we followed them all the way down this hallway, and the 4 of them just go on you, giving it, and they lost to Australia. But needless to say, for being a 15-year-old, I think the 3 of us had an absolute treat that whole week. I think I took the week off school or whatever the event was. I guess 19th through 21st might have been 2 or 3 days. May have missed of school, but it was well worth it for back then. And it was just an event that we were fortunate to have here in Canada. We will be having here again, I believe in 2013, they've scheduled to have another World Cup here in Canada and Newfoundland, I believe. That should be exciting. Who knows, maybe I'll make the trek out there and see everybody. But for 1989, for these great players who were world champions at the time, for us kids, it was certainly a treat to be around them. We learned a lot. We certainly got a lot of autographs. I think majority of that book is signed from the players from back then. So it was a great event. We certainly had a lot of fun back then. And again, if you're a hockey player, imagine being in a room with Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux and Patrick Waugh were all there, and just hyped up to go play a great game, maybe for Team Canada or something. It was kind of similar being around the great England team. Not to say the Canadians were any less fortunate; they won the event, but the English team back then, as they are now, are quite a interesting group. Anyway, touch on something. Paul Lim, and it made me remember something. Paul Lim from the U.S., sponsored by Unicorn, and one of Unicorn's best-selling darts, certainly here in North America, were the Paul Lim darts. Now, regardless of the fact that they're not sponsoring him anymore, the barrels, the exact barrel design, are still sold by Unicorn. So if you were a fan of the Paul Lim darts back in the 80s and 90s when he played and was sponsored by Unicorn, they are now the T90s. So they are on our website. They're only $50, which is a great, fantastic price for 90% tungsten. But the very popular ringed grip for the Paul Lim series, they're still out. They're the T90s. So if you did have sets, you're looking for more, they are available. They are on our website, certainly available. And always just certainly lots of information about Paul Lim and old events, YouTube, and other great websites out there. Happily wearing my Leaf jersey today, although we're off to a dismal start with only 1 win so far. They're in Carolina tonight, and I'm predicting a big win in Carolina tonight. You're back in Toronto playing Detroit tomorrow night. We'll have to see what happens there. But next week, I think I've got Minnesota and Chicago. I think we'll have another couple of wins. So they'll get back on track, back out of the basement, never give up on the Maple Leafs. Anyway, everybody, as always, thank you for watching.